Some of you might have noticed we've not been on YouTube for a few weeks.
That is because we've been keeping a big secret.
We have got a new van. This is Dorothy.
All right, we're joking. This isn't our new home, but it is for the next few weeks because we are on holiday. If you haven't noticed, it is very, very sunny around us.
Yeah.
And to be honest, we couldn't be further from England if we tried.
No, so we have travelled across the whole world, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's how it felt after several flights. But we have arrived in New Zealand.
And it is epic. Now, we're going to be doing a few videos on New Zealand. This isn't about the trip, this is very much about the van itself. And we're going to do a little van tour because, again, we couldn't be further from England and this couldn't be any more different to what our van is at home. So
yes,
it'll be interesting going through it. We've been in it for about a week so far, so we kind of know the ins and outs of how it's all working, what's working and what isn't working. But it is a lot smaller than what we're used to. So being completely honest, I don't know exactly what this van is, but it's a Nissan, it's 5 meters long, which is comparable to a transporter back home. And it's old, I think it's 2007. It's hard to tell with these because the plates aren't like ours back home. They don't have a little 07 to make it nice and easy, but we think we saw in documents somewhere, it's a 2007 van and it's done over 230,000 kilometers. We've got it from a company called Quirky Campers NZ, which ironically, we actually bought our van from Quirky Campers back in the UK. So it's kind of gone full circle, even though we are on the other side of the world. So far, the size of the van hasn't really been a problem, has it?
it hasn't, because New Zealand is completely geared up for kind of living out of the van rather than just being so contained in it. So a lot of people here have smaller vans. They have bits you can pull out and just, you're outside most of the time. And obviously with this weather, who wouldn't want to be anyway? Well,
exactly. And most of the places that we've been parking are areas like this, where they're not campsites because there's not facilities, is there? But they're also, you're obviously not just parking on the side of the road. So they are official sites given by the government. Because New Zealand's so geared up for living outside, the van is built to actually be living outside. So everything comes out, everything extends. And this is our little kitchen area here. So we've got a little pull-out bit, which works better when you're not leaning, but there is a way around it with a chopping board. But here we've got our little gas stove, and this is what we're using for the 3 weeks that we've got the van. So we've got one burner, takes all the old school little gas cartridges, but then underneath there's loads of storage for pots and pans and all sorts of things. So yeah, it's challenging at times, but it definitely does the job. And what's better than cooking outside in the sun like this?
So this is the bed, and this takes up obviously most of the van, but we are keeping it in the bed position for the whole duration that we have it, because it does pack down and you can have a nice little table, nice seating area, but to pack down a bed and then put it back every night is just too much hassle for us.
It took so long the first time, didn't it?
It took so long setting it up, so we are leaving it set up. And I mean, if we're in the van, we're just going to bed anyway. Like, we're not in the van at all during the day to sit at the table or anything, so we didn't see the point. So yeah, this is our bed area. It's a nice size. I can touch both walls though, which is weird. But yeah, and our feet overhang a little bit, but it's comfortable, it's cozy, it's fine. And then under the bed we have this compartment. Because we've made it into a bed, we then have this storage space. That is where we keep in all of our clothes. They're all in packing cubes still, because that just makes them easier to find, because there isn't any more clothes storage while the bed's up, so we're making use of that little cubby hole.
So obviously, as we've flown over here, we've had to take all the packing cubes out of our suitcases, and those suitcases have to go somewhere, which isn't easy when you've got no storage. So unfortunately, that is where the front comes into play. But we don't need to talk about that too much. Basically, every night we have to move all the suitcases into the front, and every day we move them all into the back so we can actually sit in the front so we can drive somewhere.
So there is some storage in form of these cupboards, and you have little pull-out drawers. That one only pulls up to there because of this handle. But yeah, we have loads of games in here. We have a full drawer of loads of cutlery. Again, 2 big drawers full of food and random bits. This one has our bin. So there is quite a bit of storage in terms of all that, like kitchen stuff.
Utensils and all that.
Yeah, kitchen stuff you need. And there's so much counter space, which pretty much just ends up being extra storage overnight. This just gets filled up of just random.
But that is
rubbish.
because we don't have floor space. So one of the things in New Zealand to be able to park in spaces like this is that you have to be self-contained. It's a new thing that's came in recently. But by being self-contained, that means you have to have a fixed toilet, which is what we've got here. So it's fixed in place with this little lever, and then it just slides out. So that is why we need floor space, basically, to be able to bring the toilet out and actually use it.
So also on this counter, there's a little sink in the corner. And this is connected to a 25 litre fresh tank and a 25 litre waste tank. And so far, we've like barely used it, which is crazy. But I think that's because a lot of the sites we're staying on have a kitchen and water that you can use to wash up. So we don't actually use it that much. And it is quite small to do washing up in anyway.
Is it an old wok? I was trying to work this out. Ow. Yeah, that's one thing. There's not a lot of headroom.
God's sake.
But I think it's an old wok, like that's where the handles would be. And then they've just changed it. Oh, it's not. Okay, carry on.
Anyway, so we have a nice little caddy here with all our toothbrushes and washing up stuff. And yeah, we pretty much only use the sink to brush our teeth. Then we have our fridge. And this is, I think, the same size as our one. So it's a pretty good size fridge. It's got a little lock so it doesn't open when you drive. And yeah, it's a pretty standard fridge. It's got a little freezing compartment too.
It's a bit awkward with your feet though, isn't it?
It is, like if the door was around the other way, that would probably be
that would be easier.
But it's fine.
Does the job, doesn't it? So one thing we have noticed in this van compared to ours is there's so many windows. We've literally got a window each side of us. Obviously the back's open at the moment, but there's the rear window of the van, and then where it's all open at the front here, then you can see completely through the front as well. And it makes it so light and airy, even though it's a small space.
Yeah, it's so nice to be able to see all around you as well and know what's going on outside. It has these nice curtains as well that you can just put down overnight to block it all out. But yeah, it's just so nice being able to see the full view.
Because in our van, if you guys know it, obviously you know that we've only got one window on the sliding door, and that's literally it. We've got none at the back. The front is completely closed off. So if something's happening on the other side of where your window is, you've got absolutely no idea unless you try and poke your head through the skylight. So yeah, it's really nice. You can literally see all the way around the van. Something else which is quite cool is there's this ladder on the back, and that gives you access to the roof. So you've got a little roof vent there that does have a fan as well, and then quite a big solar panel. I don't know the wattage, I think it's probably about 200 watts, but then that powers the lithium battery which is inside, which I think is 230 amp hours, which is similar size to what we've got in our Sprinter. There's an inverter as well, there's various USB sockets throughout the van, and there's also a DC to DC, so where we're doing a lot of driving, obviously that helps to keep it charged. So with the sun and the driving, there's absolutely no need to ever plug the van in.
So as storage is so limited in a small van, every little compartment and cubby hole is taken up with something. So down here we've got just a load of random bits. We've got some shopping bags, a fan. We've got loads of things to keep bugs away, because
they've worked, haven't they?
Have not been fun. And then this side we've got just a little thing with toilet roll and an umbrella and stuff. So yeah, every little compartment is taken up. We have hooks everywhere. And yeah, other than clothes, I think the storage is completely fine. It's literally just the clothes.
I think it is. And we have seen a couple that have been opened up as well, and they've got a row of cupboards on the inside, which I think obviously that would take away from your headspace and your room actually in the bed. But I think it probably would be beneficial just to have 2 or 3 little cupboards that you can chuck a few bits, especially if you are changing back to the table sort of setup. But that's Dorothy, isn't it?
Yeah.
She's a bit quirky, she's a bit small, but she's perfect for a trip like this.
Yes, so if you want to follow our adventures in New Zealand, then stay tuned the next few weeks. We are going to be doing some amazing things in Dorothy, in the camper van, and seeing as much of the South Island as possible. So stay tuned, and
we'll see you next time.